04.06 to 1 Origin OF Gopi Dots Health and Beauty Cow Pedicure CFC launches new website Dharma's Plight. We are pleased to announce that our new look Care for Cows website is unveiled and operational as of April 2006. Along with comprehensive search capabilities, exciting additions to the site are a new store facilitating purchase of CFC products online, and a superb collection of original CFC videos are available for your viewing on the downloads page via http://www.alaquaclasses.com/careforcows.org/ The videos have been made available for modem or broadband download in both Windows Media and QuickTime formats by the kind service of Chuck Gramgent, Alachua, Florida. Home residents, how can I help? Gallery News Store downloads articles. Check out our new home providing food, shelter and care for the abandoned cows in Krishna's Holy Land Tokyo, AFX. Japanese researchers extract vanillin from cow dung. Researchers at the state-run International Medical Center of Japan said they have succeeded, in cooperation with Sekisui Chemical Company, in making the smell of vanilla from cow dung. Researcher Mayu Yamamoto said a 1-hour heating and pressuring process allows cow feces to produce vanillin, the main component of the vanilla bean extract. The vanillin extracted from the feces could be used in products such as shampoo and aromatic candles, but not in food, said Yamamoto. Compared with usual vanilla, this component is exactly the same, but it would be difficult for people to accept it in food, given the recent rules of disclosing the origins of ingredients, she said. The production cost using dung is less than a half that of making vanillin out of vanilla beans, she said. The feces of grass-eating animals is abundant with lignin, the chemical compound that exists in plants and trees and is used to produce vanilla aroma, Yamamoto said. Lignin is difficult to decompose, she said. Farmers are troubled by how to dispose properly of animal excrement. We tried to solve this from a recycling viewpoint, she said. After taking the vanillin, the processed feces could be returned to the soil, she said. The research team aims to develop a machine to handle several tons of feces a day and put it to practical use in 2 to 3 years. Vanilla cow dung links. Contact US site. Visit www.careforcows.org. Today it is not easy to be a bull in Kali Yuga, not even for one born in Vrindavan. As I wandered in search of food, I felt invisible. No human eyes would behold me, or if they did, they wished they hadn't. I had been put on the street by an indifferent owner, and though it was tough, I somehow managed to survive despite my small stature. One day my ear was injured and that made things more difficult, as I now not only had to battle it out for my quota of food, but I had to tolerate flies constantly swarming around my head and hundreds of maggots crawling in my ear. With blood, pus and other fluids constantly draining from my ear and matting the hair on my shoulder, I looked a mess and smelled like death personified. In this condition I started to ponder. The Vedic scriptures state that the bull is religion personified. They also say that in the present age man's good qualities diminish and consequently religious behavior is practically eclipsed. They go on to express that human intelligence degenerates and becomes covered by ignorance to the degree that religion is perceived as irreligion, and irreligion is religion. As I wandered aimlessly it struck me that I was living proof of these statements. Out of the hundreds of people walking in slumber in the streets where I roamed, one walked with his eyes open and was shocked to see me. I had seen him before though he had not noticed me. By his startled and clear gaze I could tell he was one who had penetrated the veneer of illusion that covers this holy place and was able to see me as an all too graphic portrait of Kali Yuga. He knew I was in trouble and was compelled to do something. A few hours later, he and 2 others loaded me on a rickshaw on Dharma's Plight and took me to Care for Cows. When I arrived the cow herd men approached to unload me and though repulsed by the stench of my rotten ear and the foul discharge dried on my shoulder, they laid me down and 2 of them started cleaning my wound while others brought disinfectant and other medical necessities. While 4 hands picked the maggots out of my ear, several fingers combed through my coat to find thousands of feasting ticks. It had been a while since they had seen such a sad case. After patching me up they scrubbed me thoroughly and let me eat to my full satisfaction. Above you can see by the healing that has taken place, that I am in good hands. Now I am evidence that some places are keeping Kali Yuga at bay. The holy Dhamma Dr. Lavania removes dead tissue from Karna's wound infested with maggots and ticks. Karna receives medical treatment, a relieving bath, and then a big breakfast. Origin of Gopi. Ancient paintings of Krishna's cowherd girlfriends, the famous Gopas of Vrindavan, depict their faces decorated with dots painted above their eyebrows, commonly known as Gopi dots. Following in this tradition, Gopi dots decorate the faces of girls all throughout India today. Applied with colorful, scented ointments, elaborate designs decorate brides' faces on their wedding day, and young girls on festive occasions. And what is the origin of Gopi dots? A simple, Natural line of dots adorning the eyebrow of this Vrindavan cow may just be the answer. Early one morning in March, as we were preparing to take 90 members of the herd up to the hill to spend the day, a healthy young silver bull came to the gate and tried to enter. He apparently had just been put on the street and upon seeing our herd thought this might be his former home. I brought him a basket of food which he ignored, but he continued trying to get inside to join the herd. I left him outside the gate and proceeded up the hill to open the area where the cows spend the day and stood at the entrance while the other cowherds drove the herd up. When they arrived I noticed that the silver bull was in the lead and the first to enter the field. Several young cows and bulls gathered around him and began the usual "let's see who's the boss" routine. We left him to settle these matters, and when the herd returned to the Gosadan that afternoon, he had pretty much settled in, so we have kept him and called him Chandi. Chandi Happiness is sponsoring a holy cow. Sponsoring a cow is easy. Just visit our website and choose a cow or bull that you would like to sponsor from the residents section, or email us and have us choose a needy cow or bull for you. Sponsorship donation is $25 per month, and you may contribute toward your chosen cow for a month, a year, or throughout her whole life. Make contributions online by credit card or PayPal, or if you prefer to send a draft or transfer, please contact us for banking details. Scissor claw is a common overgrowth defect. Each cow tendon is carefully positioned, tied and held still. An expert craftsman scrutinized by the herd to avoid injury. His and her pedicure once a year. We bring in the best local Nawala, one who shoes bulls. We can find and have him trim the hooves of several members of the herd. Gauri and her daughters suffer from corkscrew claw, a partially heritable growth defect. Some of our young oxen are also beginning to show a hoof defect known as scissor claw. The Nawala restrains each animal with rope, and with some handmade tongs, a small hammer and blade expertly trims their hooves to prevent complications from developing further. If these defects are not treated regularly, the weight-bearing surfaces of the hooves become altered and in time the animals may become lame. The Nawala was careful to collect all the nail trimmings, as he said if the dogs eat them, they can become sick and die. Pushpa's rear leg remained in a cast for about 9 weeks so that her multiple fracture could mend. It was a happy day last week when the cast was removed and Dr. Lavania announced that the bones had mended together, even though almost 2 inches of bone had been shattered and removed. She is by far the most tolerant patient we have witnessed. Her wounds have been treated and dressed every other day for almost 4 months and she has never protested even once. She understands very clearly that we are trying to help her and shows no trace of fear or apprehension when she sees us approaching to treat her. Her wounds are close to being healed now and she is starting to put some weight on her leg. We are all looking forward to the day she will be walking normally. She is the most gentle soul in the Gosadan. Braja was showing some discomfort, so Dr. Lavania removed his cast to examine the progress of his leg. While the leg had straightened substantially from the previous 90-degree angle, there were indications that the calcification was not completed. After treating the irritated skin for a few days, a new cast was fit. The doctor explained that as Braja's injury is an old case, it will take a lot longer to mend. Patient update: visitors in March. Radhanath brushes Braja after a photo shoot. Kurma Rupa, Dustin and Muraladhara touring the Gosadan. Braja Savaki comforts Pushpa as her cast is removed in March. Care for Cows had the honor of a visit from Balabhadra Prabhu of icecalp.org, a very dedicated Gosavak. He stopped in several times while going and returning from Mayapur to teach his seminar of cow protection. He took regular tours of our felicity, admiring several members of the herd, and upon leaving commented, "You are doing everything right. Just keep it up." We were happy to hear this, but of course we do not take him literally as we know we can improve in many areas, but nevertheless we took his encouragement as a blessing. Visakha Priya Dasi, who manages Kirtan Ashrama, a shelter for widows in Vrindavan, brought another distinguished guest, Kalini Dasi, who is one of the most senior cowherd women in ISKCON, and the current president of Gita Nagari Farm in Pennsylvania, USA. Kalini has been involved in protecting the herd at Gita Nagari for 30 years and is very knowledgeable and experienced. It is obvious that she has imbibed much serenity from her continued dedication to serving cows. Radhanath, son of Kirtiraja Das, visited from Alachua and was kind enough to use his talents in photography in the service of the cows. He was present when we removed Nandi from the street after being killed by another bull. Braja Gopal, a mechanical engineer from Switzerland, has been active in care for cows since 2003. He brought several medicines from Europe and selflessly attended to several recuperating members of our herd. He was present when Karna was admitted and assisted in his initial treatment. Braja Savaki Dasi, a writer and regular contributor to the Back to Godhead magazine, again returned from Mayapur to care for cows to look after Pushpa, whom she has adopted. Her diligent concern and encouragement have undoubtedly added to boosting Pushpa's morale and accelerating her recuperation. Muralidara Das from England appreciates the healing atmosphere at Care for Cows and regularly visits. Dustin, a museum curator from Florida, visited Vrindavan for the first time and genuinely appreciated the soothing and holistic effects of being around cows. Vedavyasa Das, Canada, attended Balabhadra Prabhu's seminar on cow protection in Mayapur and was inspired to pay us a visit. He arrived on the day Karna was admitted and got a front row seat in observing the sad state of Vrindavan's neglected bulls. Vedavyasa constantly travels across Canada and is inspired to create awareness of our project among the people he contacts there. Lakshmi Rupa Dasi, Copenhagen, returned to continue her assistance and support, and to admire one of her favorite oxen, Syama, a retired Vrajabasi, who is as gentle as a kitten. He recognized her from their time together when she painted him at the last Govardhan Puja festival. Visakha Priya and Kalini attract the curiosity of the calf's Lakshmi Rupa admiring Syama being groomed, and Krishna, a tame deer, takes a liking to Balabhadra advanced in years and unable to work anymore. This bull has been abandoned in Vrindavan by his former owner, who is unwilling to maintain him, even after his lifetime of service. This bull, like many other bulls and oxen, will spend his last days foraging in gutters and searching through rubbish heaps for morsels of food, forced to sleep without shelter or protection along the roadside. Now a mere shadow of his former glory, he faces an undignified life till his end. Join with us in our endeavor to care for Vrindavan's abandoned street bulls and oxen. For information on how you can help, please contact Karmarupa at careforcows.org. Life on the streets. When Krishna's chariot appeared on the horizon, out of curiosity the cows followed it with their eyes. But when a favorable breeze brought the scent of Krishna's body to their nostrils, they at once recognized their Gopal and came running. Although their udders were full, the cows moved quickly, their tails and ears raised out of love. And Krishna lovingly called out to them, O Ganga, Godavari, Sabali, Kalindi, O Tungi, Yamuna, Hamsi, Kamala. The cows kept replying to Krishna as they ran, lowing again and again, raising a cloud of dust with their hooves. Again, Krishna called to them, this time with his familiar, he. When they heard the call Krishna reserved especially for them, the entire herd of King Nanda's cows escaped the control of the Gopas and ran towards the chariot of the familiar visitors. At first, the Gopas tried to control their herd. But when they saw two cloud-like figures upon the chariot, the Gopas stood still, not daring to hope, yet unable to restrain their thoughts. Is it Krishna? Has Uddhava brought him back? Krishna scratched and caressed the cows with his nectarian hands as he affectionately called their names. He inquired about their welfare, and they drank his beauty with their eyes, smelled his fragrance with their noses, and licked him with their tongues. Krishna said, O mothers! Have you missed me as much as I have missed you? The cows replied by trying to embrace Krishna with their bodies. As they did so, the chariot rocked back and forth, and Krishna, amused, gazed adoringly at their beauty and charm. Krishna laughed while he cried. There were no such cows in Mathura. Krishna Sangati Gopal's return. Hectares of Vrindavan's forest is now cleared and sold for residential purposes. Abandoned cows no longer find pasturing grounds and are forced to live on the streets. Foraging through garbage heaps, they consume a variety of inedible and filthy things, primarily plastic bags, and soon becoming malnourished and diseased. They often suffer injuries by careless motorists. Of course, this is not how it should be in Krishna's holy land. Care for Cows in Vrindavan started in an attempt to address these issues. We provide medical attention and lifelong maintenance to abandoned cows, bulls, retired oxen and orphan calves. We are volunteer workers who offer our talents and resources for tending to the hundreds of neglected cows living on the streets of Vrindavan. It is not uncommon that cows are hit or run over by cars and left in the street to die. Over the past 7 years we have attended to hundreds of sick and injured cows in Ramana Reddy alone. We currently maintain a growing herd of 112. Because of our limited facility, daily we have to turn villagers away who would rather give us their cows than abandon them. Today's primary threat to Vrindavan street cows is being abducted and cruelly transported for slaughter. As this illegal activity flourishes, we urgently need to acquire land to remove the cows off the streets and offer them protection. We need your help. For information regarding Care for Cows Land Fund, sponsor a cow, feed the herd, or to make a contribution online, please visit www.careforcows.org or email karmarupa@careforcows.org. Providing shelter, food and care for the abandoned cows in Krishna's holy land. Care for Cows in Vrindavan. Bhumi before, malnourished and covered in maggot-infested skin ulcers. Bhumi today, fully recovered, her glossy, rich coat reflects her good health.